onto our hands and knees. Now, taking those hands, pushing the ground away, they should be directly underneath your shoulders, yeah? The knees are directly underneath your hips. And I just want you to take this moment to just set that foundation. You're pressing into the fleshy part of your palms between the thumb and the index finger. And you're really pushing the ground away. You might feel a little bit of a push and roundness in the upper body. And then I would like for you to just set those knees back probably half an inch, a little bit further away. So you're getting a little bit more space between the armpit and your hip flexor. Take a deep breath in here, pull that navel in. I want you to be trying to make sure your back is nice and flat by pulling in that navel. I want you to imagine you are a tabletop. Take a deep breath in here, and I want you to draw that chin in towards the chest, round that spine. Take a deep breath in here, just drop the head a little bit more. Ease out any tension you may be feeling here. And then inhale, lift up that chest, feed that chest through the pillars of those arms, draw the shoulders away from the ears and pull that navel in. So we're not hanging out and dropping our abs, we're actually making sure that we can really engage our abdominals here. Let's do that 2 more times. So with purposeful intention, we're pushing the ground away with our hands. We're rounding our back, tucking our chin in towards our chest, tucking our tailbone in, and just try and relax that head a little bit more. You can give it a shake from left to right, because a lot of times we end up being that much more tense in this area, right? Okay, drawing that pelvis back, chest feeds through the pillars of those arms, draw that navel in towards the spine, and just see if you can push your chest through a little bit more. You're going to feel a nice little pinch in that mid-back. And let's just do that 1 more time. Now this time go in your own pace, so figure out what your hands are doing, what your upper back is doing. Find out if you can pull that navel in a little bit more. And then as you come back into neutral, you're going to the opposite direction, opening up that chest, making sure you're expanding through the upper body, and then pulling in that navel at the same time. Beautiful. So this time we're going to do a seated C curve, yeah? So in this one, I'm going to get you to draw those knees in and sit back into those heels. Now, if you've got any issues with the knees, please prop yourself up. I should have mentioned to get a cushion, or you can take your feet into a wide-legged knee bent, knee fold. So in this one, what I'd like for you to do is open up your hands, take those palms right behind you, and we're just going to open up the elbows. So we're basically doing a seated cat-cow, but I'm going to enhance the chest opening by taking the hands behind your head. Widen up those elbows, see if you can really broaden that chest here. Now this time, release those hands, take them forward, and then curl that spine. So it's like you're doing a seated cat-cow, right? But we're enhancing the opening. Take your hands right back to behind your head. Open up the chest. This accentuates that chest opener, broadens the chest, opens up the abdominals. And then when we curl in, now we're rounding our back, curling our tailbone in towards our body and pushing our back. Let's do that 1 more time. Fingertips behind you, open up the chest. So this is more about the T-spine mobility as we're rounding forward, and then as we're rounding back, we're obviously tackling our chest opener. So a really nice mixture of opening up the chest. Let's just do that 1 more time, just because it feels so good. And the more and more you practice this, the more mobile you'll be able to feel, the less tension you'll be able to hold on to in your body. And then round up, tuck that tailbone in, pull that navel in towards the spine. Beautiful. Just relax those arms for a second. We're going to go to a waist twist, okay? So in this position, actually, let me just point myself towards you. You can either sit cross-legged or on your heels like I am. And I just want you to take that left hand on top of right elbow and then hover the left elbow on top of the right hand. Take a deep breath in, tuck that navel in, just squeeze that pelvis. See if you can really tuck that tailbone in. And I'm just going to get you to shift and rotate over the left side. Now try and keep the same angle between your elbow and your shoulder. Come all the way in. Don't be, just be conscious about, you may not rotate that far. Yeah, let's just go over to the right side, consciously looking at our right shoulder, right elbow. And remember, this side, left side, sometimes tends to dip if you're feeling tight. So really use that right hand to push that left elbow up. Let's do that one more time. There's a lot of coaching cues in this one. So we're going to rotate over to the left, keeping the shoulder in line with the elbow, and just be mindful this right shoulder doesn't drop by lifting that elbow up a little bit more towards the left hand, yeah? So we're focusing on the rotation and the height of the arms, and the rotation will come with it. Come back to center, let's go to the other side. So we're heading over to the right side. Our right elbow is in line with the shoulder, but consciously pick up that left elbow. We're pushing, I'm pushing my right hand into my left elbow. Let's do that one more time each side. Come back to center, take a deep breath in. Exhale and rotate. Hopefully this should feel a little bit easier, and you might be able to find you go a little bit further this time. Come back to center, draw that navel in as you exhale and rotate, being mindful of that nice box shape you're creating. And then come back up to center. And then we're going to go straight into a side stretch, lifting those hands, touching the floor, lifting that right hand up towards the sky, and then just bend into the left elbow. Now the whole point is I don't want you to collapse onto the one side. I want you to lengthen. So I really want you to push down with your right hip and lift up. It's almost like you're reaching to the opposite corner of the room. So rotate that chest, look up under the elbow, up to the ceiling. Now if you've got any tension in the neck, you can look straight forward or straight down. As we're in this position, broaden that chest a little bit more. Open up the chest towards the sky. Push down with the right hip. Feel yourself lengthening from the right hip all the way to the right fingertips. Let's switch straight over. So we're going to exhale, inhale, push the left hand to prop yourself up, and we're going to windmill over to the right side. Again, we're pushing the left hip into the mat, raising our left arm right up to the sky. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Rotate that chest open. See if you can get a little bit more length. Beautiful. And then come all the way back down. Let's do that one more time, yeah? Pushing our right hip into the mat, lifting up with our right hand, drawing our navel in, opening up the chest, taking it all the way over, and then we're straight up over to the other side. Remember, we're not collapsing. See if you can reach. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. And then take both hands and take yourself right over to a laying position. So let's come down onto our abdominals, onto our front. And we're going to go into a Cobra Prep, okay? So I just want you to lengthen each foot. So it's almost like you're just letting each foot lengthen as much as you possibly can, and you are taking the feet hip distance apart. First of all, take your hands stacked upon one another. I just want you to rest your forehead just for a second, And then just rock your hip from left to right. If you've got any tension around that area, especially because we were seated a lot of times, now tuck your navel in and squeeze your glutes. Hold here. Activate those legs. So I want you to make sure the legs are nice and strong. Your knees possibly will pick up off the mat. And it's almost like you're trying to stretch those legs. Point those toes. Relax the shoulders away from ears. Take a deep breath in. Slowly and carefully push those hands into the mat. And you may not come up very high, but what I'm doing is pushing my hands into the mat. My legs are nice and firm. My knees are off the floor. And my elbows are pushing into the floor too. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, let's just do that one more time. Activate those legs, squeeze those glutes, belly button drawing up and in. And then push the ground away with the palms, keeping the feet onto the floor, and your elbows might have a little bit of push against the floor too. Let's lower down with control. I'm going to transfer the hands now alongside your body. So alongside your chest, your fingertips probably about nipple height. Take a deep breath in, tuck your tailbone in, lengthen those legs. Tuck your chin in. So I don't want you to lift your head up. You're keeping your forehead in line with the floor as you lift up into that Cobra Prep position. So rather than the arch, I want you to think length. I want you to think from the top of the head to the tips of those toes. You're lengthening and stretching that body. One more breath here. And then exhale and lower. Let's repeat that whole thing again. Take a deep breath in. Tuck that tailbone in. Lengthen those legs. Tuck your chin in. Push the ground away. As you inhale, think length from the tip of those toes to the top of the head. Draw that navel in. Shoulders away from ears. Lower with control. Let's do that one more time. This time we're going to hold for 5 breaths. Take a deep breath in. Tuck that navel in. Squeeze the glutes. Lengthen the legs. Point the toes. Chin tucks in. Pushing the ground away with the hands. Take a deep breath in here. And hold for 5. Keep breathing here. Last 2. One more. And slowly lower down. Now that we've got a little bit more warmth in that back, let's go into a diamond press. So we're taking our hands right back in front of us again. Fingertips are touching, thumbs are touching, creating a nice triangle with the hands. Take a deep breath in here. Relax those shoulders just for a second. And then we're going to lengthen those legs back. Really activate those legs. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the abdominals, and then we're going to push into the ground. And then your elbows are going to lift up, okay? Only go to the height where you feel comfortable. Let's just do that 10 more times. So we're going to lower with control. Keep the solid strength around the abdominals. Your legs are turned on. You are pointing those feet, squeezing those glutes, tucking the tailbone in. Lower with control. Take a deep breath in. And exhale as you lower. And again, just a couple more here like this. Inhale. Keep drawing that navel in. Don't forget those legs. Keep them active. Squeezing the glutes this whole time. Don't worry about how high you go. Just want you to feel the arms pushing into the ground, legs are switched on, belly button engaged halfway. So with slow control, lift up, tucking our tailbone in. Slow control, lower. Good, just 4 more like this. Inhale. Exhale. Good, last 2. If you notice your forehead should still be in line with the floor, do not try and look up. And keeping your back in neutral as much as possible, even though we're going into a reverse crunch essentially. Last one here. Navel in, pushing the ground away. Beautiful. Lower with control, and just so we can counteract that, push those hands into the floor, and then I want you to push back into those heels and settle yourself into just a child's pose, opening up the back. Now if you're like me, you might want to modify this. I'm going to take my elbows in here and just drop my head. So this way I'm just getting a little bit more stretch around my head and neck. I don't want to put my forehead onto the floor, but if you want to do that, that's completely fine too. Go to which option suits you. I kind of like this one because it's helping me free my neck away from my shoulders. If you felt funny, slept funny, this is a really good one to just loosen up the neck. But you have to be quite placid in this. Maybe give it a little bit of rotation if you're doing this with me. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to move straight into a tabletop position. And we're going to start to work a little bit of those legs, okay? So take yourself back into that nice solid tabletop position like we were at the beginning of the session. Pull that navel in, push the ground away, and we're just going to hold this position. So a lot of times people underestimate the solid foundation of tabletop. I want you to broaden the back from left to right shoulder. I want you to lengthen the back from left shoulder to left hip and from right shoulder to right hip. And then expand that pelvis from left to right hip. Take a deep breath in, pull that navel in, push the ground away with the hands. Now let's add a little bit of a challenge in there, get some core strength in, curl those back toes in, keeping yourself as solid as possible. You're going to push the ground away with the hands and lift the knees up about 1/2 inch from the mat. Now this is a really key core exercise because a lot of times, a lot of people end up feeling this in the quads. But I want you to feel this, the majority of it in your arms, in your abdominals. You may start to feel this in your hamstrings and glutes. But it really depends upon where you're at. So lower down with control. I want you to extend that right leg all the way back behind you. Rotate that hip down. And we're going to lift that leg up for some pulses. So drop down to the mat level and then pulse up. So we're going to go for 20 here. I am counting. But I want you to take your time. So no big pulses. We're lifting and lowering, pointing the hip down towards the mat. Try and prevent your back from overarching. You're drawing that navel in and you're really extending that back foot. Now you can either point those toes or you can flex the feet. I really like flexing the feet because I can really feel my glutes and hamstrings here. Okay, we have only got 5, so I have 5 more left on my mat. So it's 20 in total. Beautiful. Last 2. Last 3. Last one. Hold that right leg up. Just hold it up. Now, if you're happy to stay in all 3 points on the floor, stay here. If you want to work a little bit more, you're going to extend that left arm and push down with the right arm. So we're going to stay here for 5 breaths. Take a deep breath in. Reach back with the toes. Reach forward with the hands. Keep breathing. Keep pulling that navel in. Expanding from the tip of the left hand to the toes of the right foot. 3 more breaths here. Stick with me. You got this. Last breath. Beautiful. Drop that left hand down. Drop that right foot down. And just give it a little bit of a shake. We're going to do the whole thing on the other side. And then we are really going to feel those legs and abdominals. So pressing back into those palms, curling those toes in. Let's lift up into that tabletop position, nice and solid. Push the ground away. Breathe here for 5. Your right hand might be a little bit more shaky because we've really balanced and taken time on that one. Feeling the abdominals pulling in. And then lower with control. Extend that left leg. Draw that left hip down so we're not opening it up too much. keeping our hips in line with the floor, belly button engaged, and we're going to go for 20 pulses here. So remember, this is not about height, this is about length. Drawing that navel in, squeezing the glutes, the hamstrings. I'm keeping my toes flexed on this one, but feel free if you want to point the toes, or if you want to switch it up halfway. I will give you the halfway warning, which is about now. So I've got 10 more on my mat. Keep squeezing the glutes, pulling that navel in. Every time you step on the mat, every time you press play on YouTube, on your workout, you are nourishing your body, you are taking care of your body, you are loving your body. And that's the whole point of me wanting to bring this information to you, is that it spreads some more love and acknowledgement, appreciation for what our body can do, yeah? Now, speaking of, pause that left leg, keep it high. This is the challenging part. Lengthen that right hand, push the left hand away into the ground, and then really lengthen. If you're shaking, that's a good thing. I am too. And that's the thing about these basic exercises. They look so easy, but they're so lethal. Okay, 2 more breaths here. Stick with me. Oh, my leg is shaking. Tell me if yours is too in the comments below. Drop that right hand, drop that left foot. Just give those legs a little bit of a shake. Okay, beautiful. So this time we're going to come back onto our belly. And this is where we're going to go straight into some back extensions. So forehead in line with the floor. Extend those palms back behind you alongside your body. But your back of the hands are alongside the mat, okay? So I want you to imagine you're squeezing everything into midline. Your toes are pointing, your thighs are pulled in, glued together, and your tailbone is tucked in. Take a deep breath in. I want you to push the hands into the mat as you raise the upper body. Now, if you might notice, I'm not going up very high. And if you're not either, that's completely fine. This is a bit of a challenging pose. We're keeping our feet on the floor, we're raising up our chest, and we're pushing our back of the hands into the mat. Let's lower down with control and just do that 4 more times. Inhale, exhale, draw that belly button in, and then lift up. Inhale, exhale and lower. Good, keep squeezing those legs, squeezing those thighs as you raise up. Pull that navel in and lower. 2 more. Keep that forehead in line with the mat. Last one. Beautiful. Okay, let's just do 1 more for luck, and this time we're going to hold it up there. So we're going to pull up, navel's pulling in, raise those feet up off the floor, raise the hands up off the floor, and reach for the backs of those heels. Forehead in line with the mat. We're going to breathe here for 5. Keep everything nice and tight into midline. Point those toes. Reach back with those hands. I know this is challenging. We've got 2 more breaths here. And lower with control. Push yourself back up into a child's pose. And let's just hang out here just for a second. You guys are doing awesome. This is perfect. We're going to go into a bow and arrow with our body this time. So let's go into a side laying position. This is our last movement of the day. And all I'm going to get you to do is we're going to tuck our head down. Now, if you've got a yoga block, that would be really nice to kind of rest your head. But if you're a bit like me, you have no yoga block or an assistant that can give you one, relax your arm alongside your shoulder, and the top hand is going to reach, and then we're going to open up to the other side of the room. Now, I've got a wall behind me. Feel free to stretch that arm out as far as it can go. I'm going to bend the elbow, and then I'm opening up my pectorals here, okay? So again, we're just going to rotate forward, reach, and then open up to the opposite side of the room. Now, the aim isn't to touch the floor. The aim is just to open up the pectorals. Even if your arm is hovering, no matter, you do you. Find out what suits you, what works for you. Let's just do that 2 more times because it feels so good. And it matches up with our mobility sequence. The whole point of today is to get into that mobility. We had a little bit of core strength. And really, we were able to feel any tension in our body and try and release it and rest, yeah? Okay, so switch over to the other side. I'm just going to move over to this way. And we're going to do the same thing, same. Reaching our top hand forward and then opening up to the opposite side. Take a deep breath in. Now feel free to rest that head back and down. One side might feel a little bit more fluid, a little bit more forgiving, but just figure out what suits you. Try not to push your body to where it doesn't need to be pushed just yet. The more and more you do this, the more and more you're going to improve on your mobility anyway. So if you end up doing this sequence a couple of times, you're going to be able to notice how much difference your body is making. Good, last one. Okay, beautiful. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this Back to Basics mobility sequence. And I hope you really enjoyed finding out some strength around your upper body, around your chest and side body, just so it lays the foundation into where we're going next, right? Okay, well, this time, I'm so glad that you stayed with me throughout this session. Remember, if you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I will see you on the mat next week with another progression for our Pilates Back to Basics. See you soon.